Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Global Compact participants, network participants, investors, educators, and civil society organizations, welcome to the official opening of the Rio+20 Corporate Sustainability Forum. Our chair, who is also Secretary General of the United Nations, the chair of the Global Compact Board, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, would have liked very, very much to be with us, but politics and the G20 make it impossible. He's sending us a very special video message. Please.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is a pleasure to welcome you to the Rio+20 Corporate Sustainability Forum. Next week, world leaders will come to Rio as part of a global movement for change. You are integral to that momentum. Corporate sustainability is an idea whose time has come. You are showing that business is able and willing to lead the way in transforming our society for the better. I commend your commitment. I welcome what you are doing in your boardrooms and factories, in your supply chains and investments. Your challenge now is to scale up. Bring your peers on board. Reach critical mass. Do everything you can in your considerable spheres of influence. I want Rio to be a tipping point for corporate sustainability. We need companies everywhere to deliver value, not just financially, but socially, environmentally, and ethically. This is the quadruple bottom line. Through your actions and commitments, you can show governments and the world the enormous potential of corporate sustainability. All the issues on the table in Rio, from energy and climate change to water and food, from fighting corruption to empowering women, should also be prime concerns for responsible business. I have great hopes that this forum will inspire more businesses to embrace corporate sustainability and persuade governments to do more to support responsible business. I look forward to the outcomes of this forum and the commitments and the partnerships it generates. Thank you for being part of the future we want.
You heard the Secretary General, the challenge he's putting before us, bringing corporate sustainability to full scale through innovation, collaboration, and partnerships for the future we want. as we are preparing for 3 days of hard work, getting down to business in 120 events organized in 6 tracks, geared to produce a lot of action, commitments, collaboration, and partnerships, we want to provide a few perspectives for you at this opening. And we are very pleased to have very special guests with us who will share their perspectives with you. Maria das Graças Forster, President and CEO of Petrobras. Elias Maselila, CEO, Public Investment Corporation, South Africa. Mr. Robert Swan, explorer and environmental leader. And Ms. Elizabeth Thompson, Executive UN Director for Rio+20. Please take your seats. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure we are all now looking forward to hear from you, your perspectives on what we should deliver in the next 3 days. And it's my great honor and privilege to invite Maria das Graças Forster, President of CO, to open, please. Please come to the podium. Thank you.
Boa noite, senhoras, senhores. Cumprimento o senhor Georg, Kell, diretor executivo do Pacto Global, senhor Robert, líder ambientalista e fundador da organização 2041, senhor Elias, CEO Public Investment Corporation of South Africa, senhora Elizabeth Thompson, coordenadora executiva da Rio+20. Prezadas senhoras, prezados senhores, este evento de abertura do Fórum de Sustentabilidade Corporativa do Pacto Global acontece no momento em que governantes, líderes, empresários e representantes da sociedade civil organizada de centenas de países retornam ao belo Rio de Janeiro com o propósito de estabelecer os objetivos comuns que norteiam a construção de um planeta provedor de melhor qualidade de vida para todos. Alguns valores e questões básicas parecem absolutamente consensuais. É preciso promover a inclusão social de cerca de 3 bilhões de pessoas que hoje vivem em situação de pobreza ou extrema pobreza. É preciso aprimorar, ajustar os modelos de produção de forma a incorporar a agenda ambiental em suas especificidades regionais no planejamento estratégico e na operação das nossas empresas. É preciso administrar os padrões de consumo estabelecidos como referência de bem-estar, principalmente nos países chamados países desenvolvidos, pois estes tendem a ser referências de consumo dos países em desenvolvimento. O consumo esse, que se não for administrado em tempo hábil, esgotaria a capacidade de suprimento do nosso planeta frente à imensidão das potenciais demandas. O reconhecimento da importância de tratarmos esses pontos, ora levantados, com prioridade, de forma planejada, integrada e a partir de uma visão de longo prazo, vislumbrando um futuro de maior prosperidade frente à realidade atual, demonstra o amadurecimento que nós experimentamos desde a Rio+92, confirmando ser indiscutível o desenvolvimento sustentável e implementando ações que sejam objetivas, efetivas e materiais. Cada liderança no seu respectivo campo de atuação, desde os modelos regionais de negócio mais simples até aqueles internacionais de estruturas tecnológicas e financeiras mais complexas, internacionais, como a Petrobras, devem assumir a responsabilidade pela promoção das ações necessárias a favor da sustentabilidade da vida. Nos próximos dias 20, 21 e 22, os líderes de governo estarão discutindo os compromissos que os países poderão adotar. O governo brasileiro, assim como de outros países, propõe o estabelecimento de objetivos para o desenvolvimento sustentável, como uma estratégia para tornar clara e precisa as metas que deverão ser alcançadas por todos nós nos próximos anos. E nós, líderes empresariais, CEOs de tantas companhias, modestas ou complexas, nacionais ou internacionais, quais são as nossas ansiedades? O que nós vamos propor? Cada um de nós, executivas e executivos, de forma consciente, devemos aos nossos líderes governamentais, aos nossos acionistas, à sociedade, ao planeta, melhor dizendo, uma reflexão profunda sobre as estratégias usadas por nós para atingir os objetivos empresariais das empresas que conduzimos. Destas reflexões virão soluções certamente mais criativas para superarmos os desafios, os dilemas que ora enfrentamos na busca de um mundo menos desigual, onde as diversidades sejam consideradas um valor do negócio e o respeito ao meio ambiente uma premissa imutável. Nós, da Petrobras, temos imenso orgulho de sermos uma empresa de energia. Energia produzida por fontes fósseis, majoritariamente fósseis. Entendemos que nossa colaboração para o desenvolvimento sustentável é prover a energia que contribui para o desenvolvimento dos países e para o bem-estar de milhares e milhares e milhares de pessoas que vivem nos 27 países em que atuamos. Assim, buscamos a eficiência no uso dos recursos, dos processos e dos produtos que contém a marca Petrobras, mantendo um diálogo de intimidade e transparência com a sociedade, considerando suas necessidades, seus interesses, incluindo-as em nossas rotinas de trabalho. Consciente de nossa dimensão e relevância no contexto econômico nacional, no contexto econômico desse país, o Brasil, que nós tanto amamos, conhecedores de nossa relevância no contexto econômico mundial, ficamos orgulhosos em participar das discussões e ações conjuntas voltadas à construção de valores e hábitos condizentes com os princípios da sustentabilidade. Neste sentido, adotamos iniciativas tais como padrões de excelência em segurança operacional e de processo reconhecidos internacionalmente, investimentos na prevenção e mitigação de impactos à sociedade, biodiversidade e ecossistemas. Como exemplo, apenas no ano de 2011, aplicamos recursos de 2,6 bilhões de dólares em atividades de segurança, meio ambiente e saúde, o que significa 6% do investimento total de nossa companhia no ano de 2011, que foi de 43,2 bilhões de dólares. Investimentos em fontes alternativas e renováveis, de modo a nos prepararmos para um cenário mundial que favoreça a diversificação das fontes de energia. Nesse sentido, destacam-se os investimentos em biocombustíveis, com incremento da produção e oferta de novas tecnologias, como a do etanol de segunda geração, que lançamos no último dia 13, e que abastece algum dos veículos que estão sendo utilizados no transporte das delegações da Rio+20. Promovemos a integração dos aspectos sociais e ambientais nas análises de viabilidade dos projetos de negócio. Nos estudos de viabilidade técnico-econômicos da Petrobras, do valor presente líquido do resultado final, saem aqueles mitigadores que têm relação direta com os aspectos sociais e ambientais. Investimos de forma contínua e significativa no processo de desenvolvimento tecnológico de nossos processos e produtos. Em 2011, foram 1,5 bilhão de dólares em parceria com mais de 100 universidades e instituições de pesquisa no Brasil e no mundo. Estimulamos o engajamento de nossa cadeia de fornecedores rumo a uma maior sustentabilidade do negócio. Hoje, mais de 5.000 fornecedores de bens e serviços já fazem parte do nosso cadastro corporativo, compromissados através de contratos com a adoção das melhores práticas sociais e ambientais em suas atividades. Nós acreditamos que atuar fortemente para a inclusão energética é um de nossos mais nobres desafios. Pela agenda social, pois é inquestionável a correlação com qualidade de vida e inaceitável a atual condição de 1,3 bilhão de pessoas sem acesso à eletricidade e 2,7 bilhões que dependem de biomassa tradicional para cozinhar e se aquecer. Pela agenda econômica, que é a nossa principal razão de ser, por ser um grande vetor de estímulo à economia e gerador de oportunidades de mercado e negócios. No limite, são mais consumidores consumindo mais e mais de nossos produtos. Não há que se discutir tampouco que essa inclusão social e o consequente aumento do consumo se deem à custa da degradação ambiental em qualquer nível, pois é também inconteste a necessidade de manutenção dos recursos ambientais que sustentam nossa vida e nossos negócios. Por outro lado, o custo energético não pode ser fator de exclusão social e econômica, levando à perda de competitividade de países e regiões do planeta. Há, portanto, necessidade de se criar arranjos tecnológicos que favoreçam o amplo acesso às fontes energéticas a custos competitivos. Finalmente, é fundamental que se faça reconhecer os direitos potenciais de cada país ou região em função de suas especificidades, seu contexto político e econômico, bem como de seus recursos naturais. Realizar o planejamento sempre integrado e com visão de longo prazo, considerando as complementariedades das diferentes fontes de energias disponíveis, bem como as integrações energéticas entre países vizinhos. E aqui a Petrobras destaca exatamente os nossos vizinhos, irmãos da América do Sul. Nesse sentido, participamos de forma ativa do Pacto Global, mobilizando os nossos esforços e recursos nos países em que atuamos, para que as redes locais do Pacto sejam capazes de implementar práticas sustentáveis nas diversas cadeias de negócio em que participamos de forma direta ou indireta. A Petrobras entende que as orientações advindas deste evento possam fortalecer nossas empresas e que nós, executivas e executivos, possamos trazer vidas hoje ainda excluídas para a sociedade economicamente ativa, cumprindo rigorosamente as agendas ambientais das regiões em que nossas empresas atuam. Muito obrigado e boa noite.
Thank you, Maria Forster. The examples she gave us, energy, social inclusion, will be on the agenda in the next days. I think they're a great inspiration for all of us. I'm also very proud and happy that Graças will be joining the Global Compact Board and will be part of the board handing over to the Secretary General on the 21st of June the outcome of the work ahead of us. We have another wonderful person with us, another board member of the Global Compact, Mr. Elias Maselila. Please do come to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you very much. It gives me great pleasure to be part of this gathering, particularly to join the Global Compact. This is quite significant for the institution that I come from, the Public Investment Corporation, given the circumstances which are painted by the global economic conditions that we're faced with today, which are indicative of the way in which we manage ourselves, the way in which we run our corporates, and the way in which we run our economies, which to a large extent have been short-termist. We've been very short-termist in the manner in which we run these institutions. We're in this financial meltdown today, not because the financial meltdown was going to happen. We're in this situation today simply because of the manner in which we've been managing. Had we been much more long-term in the manner in which we do things, we wouldn't be facing the situation that we're faced with today. And that defines the environment or the circumstance under which we are gathering this time around on issues of sustainability. And what I would like to see coming out of the next 3 to 5 days is a fundamental shift in the manner in which we manage the institutions that we're given responsibility to manage. The attitudes need to change. The attitudes need to be informed by a need to be much more long-term in the way in which we set our goals and the way in which we implement our activities. Secondly, we need to avoid an attitudinal position of being predominantly compliant given the rules that are given to us and see these as underlying objectives or fundamentals for us to run sustainable institutions and sustainable economies going forward. There are a number of things that I would like to see being dealt with, particularly from institutions and countries that have gone this road much longer than we have. The one of these objectives that I would like to see being dealt with has to do with the issue of incentives. What are the kinds of incentives that we should be looking at to change the attitudes in the world? I am not a believer in regulation. I'm a believer in entities and individuals that take it upon themselves in a voluntary fashion to do the right things, to do things for the good of the economy first and foremost. To a large extent, corporates across the world tend to be driven by the financial objectives of their enterprises and ignore entirely the economic objectives of the environments under which they operate. What that does, it drives greed, it drives short-termism, and causes those entities to operate in an unsustainable fashion. That becomes one of the things that we need to deal with going forward. We cannot wait as the private sector or as corporates of the world for governments to regulate our behaviors. We need to take it upon ourselves to achieve that. Another objective that I would like to see coming out of the discussions today is an understanding and a stepping up of the roles of the different players in our economic environments, one of which are the owners of capital. To what extent do they make the right decisions? To what extent Do they send the right signals to the people who manage the capital on their behalf to making sure that they manage it in a sustainable fashion? We need to think about the role of asset managers who have a double-edged sword in the manner in which they make decisions and implement those decisions. And one of those asset managers is the company or the entity that I come from, the Public Investment Corporation, which has made a conscientious decision to take a long-term view on every decision and every investment that it makes. Our outlook is a minimum of 10 years, and we're looking at an outlook of 20 to 25 years as an entity. What is the role of the consumer? Can a consumer, or can the consumers of the world vote with their feet? When corporates are behaving badly, can they be able to withdraw their demand from those commodities such that the suppliers of goods and services in the world do so in a responsible or a much more responsible fashion? Lastly, is what is the role of analysts? To what extent are we going to pick up analysis from the financial markets which incorporate sustainability and not be just driven by the bottom line, which is purely financial? In the South African context, we've gone to extensive lengths to try and change these behaviors. There's a number of interventions that are put in place which we can share and can be considered going forward. But even after having put these in place, we still believe that it is inappropriate. It is not right that corporates in South Africa are going to behave in a particular way simply because certain interventions are put in place. Regulation is meant to inform a particular behavior. Laws and legislations are set up for the same reason. But if people behave in an expected fashion, regulation is not necessary. Laws are not necessary. And jails, for that matter, are not necessary. But to give an example to you of what we're doing in South Africa is to give you a listing of some of these interventions. We have what we call the Black Economic Empowerment, where sustainability tends to start at the level of society, and that's how Black Economic Empowerment has come up. The King Codes, which is globally understood. CRISA, which is the Code of Responsible Investment, which guides the behavior of asset managers. The JSE, Johannesburg Stock Exchange SRI Index. And within the PIC, we've set up a matrix which forces companies or entities into which we invest to behave in a particular fashion. But the bottom line is, we would like to see voluntarism. We would like to see corporates of South Africa and the world behaving in an expected fashion and taking sustainability into account. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elias. We'll have major financial track starting tomorrow, and we are so happy that we got the right signals already set, short-term to long-term, and we believe some major commitments will be in the making, including by several major CEOs of stock exchanges and investors who will be joining us tomorrow and the day after. This concludes our two business perspectives, what's ahead of us, and now it's my distinguished pleasure to invite Mr. Robert Swan, somebody who does not need much introduction because he's probably the only person here, and arguably in the world, I believe, who actually walked on foot to both the North Pole and the South Pole. A leader, an inspiration for all of us. Please join us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful to be here. I apologize to our distinguished guests that you won't be able to see these photographs, so you might be able to bend round and look at the screen. So I'm lucky to be able to talk to you this evening. It's an honor. But I'm here to tell you a story about what's truly possible to achieve together. And it's a story also about personal leadership. Every single person here is a leader. And if we are not leading ourselves as best we can, how can we ask other people to follow us? Now, one very important word that was missed out in my excellent introduction, let me be honest. I am the first person in history stupid enough to have walked to both bloody poles. You've got to be stupid. 1,600 kilometres to the south, 1,400 kilometres to the north. And if you are that person, and I am, I promise you that Mr. Swan is only sure, really sure, of 4 things. First and foremost, I'm sure I hate walking. I've done enough. Secondly, it is a joy to be back in Rio after 20 years. Why? Because it's hot. The coldest day I've ever been in, minus 72 degrees Celsius. That's cold enough to put sweat inside your clothes. So to date, I do not enjoy having ice in my underpants. Thirdly, no insurance company has got the courage to cover my life. No one will touch me. You'll understand why. And lastly, and this is important for today, important for the next 3 days, most people say to me that I will fail, that I will die. And I don't like those people. They're negative. Now, however difficult the issues are that we face as leaders, none of us can ever be that negative person. We must deal only with being positive. Why? Because no one is inspired ever by the negative. Now imagine, my friends, walking across Antarctica. A map of Antarctica looks like the screen here. Nothing. And you arrive at the South Pole. You get on an aeroplane. You go back to London. You go on a TV chat show. And the first question you're asked, was it cold, Bob? I mean, but a good question they ask, they say, where did this begin? And today has everything, the next 3 days, has everything to do with dreams. Don't forget the dream. Don't forget your dream. Don't forget other people's dreams. And my dream began when I was 11, when I saw a film about Antarctica, and that was it. We headed south after years of planning and preparation, arrived in the most amazing place on Earth, the Antarctic, the only place in the world that all of us own. Nobody owns Antarctica. And 3 of us undertook a journey with no radios, no communications, no backup, 1,600 kilometers, crossing crevasses, 6,000 crevasses. Halfway to the pole, we're starting to get thin. I lost 33 kilograms in 70 days making this journey. People call me crazy. But what is crazy when you've touched starvation as I have? That we live in a world where half the world starves and the rest of us try to lose weight. That is crazy. We are now standing, as we walk to the pole, on an area the size of the United States of America. And beneath our feet, 4,200 meters of ice. 90% of all the world's ice, we're standing on it. 70% of all the world's fresh water, we're standing on it. It's probably not a good idea if we melt it. As we close in on the pole, our ship should return from South America, pick us up, but I'd made a promise. I hope some of you please remember the name Jacques Cousteau from France. Marvellous chap. And he was my patron. He asked me to leave nothing in Antarctica except my footprints. Take away your rubbish. Take away your equipment, Rob. Show leadership on looking after Antarctica. And after 70 days, we arrived at the bottom of the world, the pole. we'd done it, and we were proud of what we'd done. Something happened to me walking to the South Pole that brought me here. I have to say, I made this journey because it went down well with girls at parties. But something happened to me that brought me here. My eyes changed colour through damage in 70 days. Our faces blistered away. The skin came away. And we had read nothing about this in the stories of the real explorers. So what happened to my eyes? What happened to my face? We walked under the hole in the ozone the year it was discovered. And I got it wrong 25 years ago when I came back from the South Pole. I got it wrong because I was negative about this issue and no one listened to me. So I went to go and see Jacques Cousteau, big mistake. And 21 years ago, he gave me a 50-year mission. He said, Rob, in the year 2041, the treaty that protects Antarctica could be changed. So go out, Rob, for 50 years and make sure we preserve one place on Earth forever. I've done 21 years on that mission. We've got 29 years to go. Now, 8 of us from 7 nations will walk to the top of the world, across a frozen ocean of ice. The North Pole is a tough battle. You can get eaten on the way if you don't watch out. Now, many people say to me, well, we're not sure whether climate change and global warming's happening. Well, go and ask the polar bear. In 20 years, my friends, the polar bear, untouched, unendangered, has gone to dying because we're melting their home. We need to listen to those things. Walking to the North Pole 20 years ago, plenty of ice. Here's me coming in from washing at minus 60 degrees Celsius. Gentlemen, you will notice, gentlemen, there's nothing hanging down in the central area of the photograph. It is your job to explain to the ladies later why this happens to a naked man at minus 60. It's cold. 20 years even. 20 years ago, 1,000 kilometers from safety, 1,000 kilometers from safety, the ice cap melted beneath our feet. We don't have radios, we don't have backup, and the ice melted 4 months before it ever had. And we nearly died 20 years ago battling with conditions we hadn't planned for. Sorry to show you this picture. We're not survivor discovery men that can do a bit of surviving, then check into a hotel. No. When things go wrong for us, they go badly wrong. And our brave American, his heel dropped off his foot 115 kilometers from the pole. He must march or die. And at last, after a desperate battle, we reached the North Pole. We were proud of what we'd done. And we flew a flag which I think still is very important on Earth. And exactly 20 years ago, I came here to the first ever Earth Summit. It was really exciting. And I spoke to all the world leaders for 5 minutes. It was so cool, except I did it at 9 o'clock in the morning and the whole damn lot of them were asleep. But I tried my best. You know, you do your best. And 20 years ago, this was the challenge. Think about our world and do something locally. Today, the next 3 days is about your response to challenge as business leaders. And my response 20 years ago was to undertake a 10-year mission involving young people, business and industry, doing first a global mission, then a local one. For the global one, we went to Antarctica. I took my customers, young people. We found 1,500 tons of twisted metal. It took us 8 years to remove this. $12 million idiot here had to raise, but this was great. We cleared it up. We could only work for 3 months a year, took down an old ship for the World Leaders Global Mission, and I'm proud that we recycled all of this back in the country of Uruguay, South America. Global mission achieved for the world leaders. Then the penguins came ashore onto their beach, and I realized that perhaps the most important thing all of us as business leaders must remember is to be relevant. Be relevant. And I realized I could only save Antarctica if I made it not worth going there financially. How could I do that? Become a renewable energy champion, an energy mix champion. So I moved from garbage collector and penguin polisher to renewable energy champion. And my dream was that one day we could have a base in Antarctica only running on renewable energy. I don't have a home. I lost it years ago to the bank manager. But we have a beautiful battleship. Her name is 2441. And in only a few hours, something's going to be really exciting happening here in Rio with our yacht. So, global mission done for the world leaders. Second World Summit's going to be in Johannesburg, so we better get there. On the way, we must find that local mission. Remember, we promised global and we promised local. So back in the great country of South Africa, we joined with a fabulous youth organization, all about health, all about not dying of AIDS, all about recycling and looking after the environment. And 10 years ago, to the Second World Summit, we did something spectacular, put our yacht onto a trailer and made the longest overland voyage ever made. This was fantastic. We took our yacht all the way from Antarctica to visit kids who'd never seen the sea. They'd never seen a boat. They'd never seen a red Englishman. Right, but they came out, all 750,000 young people. This was fabulous. And we arrived at the Second World Summit to deliver on our promise. Global mission, local mission. World leaders came out. They always say the same thing. Well done, Rob. See you at the next summit. But we keep trying. And at the end of the Second World Summit, we were told, and many of you might have experienced this, that the Third World Summit would be held in Singapore. One of these things. So we went round America. We've done 130,000 nautical miles on our yacht. But the first thing we do is to make what we were doing sustainably inspirational. In your companies, in your businesses, don't forget this, please. It's quite easy to inspire people that you're doing the right thing on sustainability in the environment. But don't forget to re-inspire people, because it tails away. Sustainable inspiration is my business. So we decided to circumnavigate Africa as our first part of coming here to the Third World Summit. My kids spoke to young people. We planted trees. We did all kinds of exciting things with young people. And these three boys became the first Africans to have ever circumnavigated Africa. They're doing such a good job with young people and inspiration in southern Africa. So what are we doing? We're promoting the use of renewable energy. And to do that, I take business women, businessmen, employees from big corporations. Every year we go to the Antarctic just for 2 weeks. We get together in South America. I have a big focus on the great nation of India. Fantastic country. Anybody from India here? Yay, good stuff. I love your country. You've got 1.3 billion people in your nation. And when my mother was born, she's 97, still on the phone this morning saying, I'm still breathing, why don't you ever ring me? But when she was born, the population of the planet was 1.8 billion total. So in her life, 1.3 to 7. Another great country I focus on is China. I love India, I love China. They must be the solution, not the problem. And also, I do a lot of work in the Middle East, ladies, to uplift women in the Middle East on the issue of the environment. Proud of this picture. Only 3 weeks ago in Antarctica, I took 17 women from the Middle East, the first girl ever from the UAE, the first girl ever from Saudi Arabia, the first girl ever from Oman. Lift people, inspire, that's our job. We go on a big ship and we listen. We listen to what Antarctica's telling us. We've all seen Al Gore on his ladder. And frankly, I'm tired of the inconvenient truth. I'm more impressed by the convenient solutions, and that's where you come in. Industry and business must be the convenient solutions. And we go and see where Antarctica's melting. It is. And we watch huge icebergs come by. They shouldn't be there. We must listen, but remember, always positive, never be negative. And we built our education station in Antarctica, and I go and live there every year, just on renewable energy. -20 outside, +20 inside. There's my home. Ladies, check out the plastic flowers. We try. But if I can make it work in Antarctica, we should be able to do it more here. And as I say, on the way, all the way around the world to that Third World Summit in Singapore, we were really excited. India, China, and we thought we just had to drop down to the Third World Summit in Singapore, showing kids how renewable energy works. Even got a solar panel sale. It works. But as we all know, the future will be an energy mix. It won't just be wind and solar and renewables. It'll be clever companies like our first speaker. It's an energy mix that will see us through in the future. I love India, worth being relevant there. So at the end of last year, I did 5,000 kilometers on a bicycle, visiting young people around India. That's the way to go. They listened to me because I didn't come in a limousine. And I built the second education station in India. Again, all kinds of excitement. So, imagine this. You've sailed 130,000 nautical miles around the world, and then suddenly you're told, sorry lads, the thing's happening in Rio. So what's fantastic? And if I start crying, come and slap me. But if you say you're going to do something as a leader, do it. That is leadership. And only 100 days ago, we decided we were going to be here. And that meant crossing 2 major oceans, turning the famous Cape of Good Hope in winter. It's not called the Cape of Storms for nothing. And because I never have any money, I told my son, who's only 17, you're going, lad, and he's on board. And what's amazing is that in 2.5 hours from now, Brave Yacht 2041 will arrive here in Rio de Janeiro. She went by land to the Second World Summit. She's here for the Third World Summit. I'm so, so proud of that. If you say you're going to do it, do it. That's leadership in my view. They've been through a few storms to get here, but they're going well. And here we are, back 20 years on. I ask you a simple question. I think our story shows, don't wait. Don't wait for governments. Do it. Engage on it. Inspire your employees. Keep inspiring your employees. But I must ask you a rude question, and I apologize. And you must answer this question totally honestly, hand on heart. How many people came to this summit by aeroplane? Honestly, How many people personally offset their flights to get here? Not enough. How many people here honestly know, their own carbon footprint? Virtually no one. So leadership, my friends, is about walking the talk. Leadership is about not asking other people to do things that you're not willing to do. So I leave you with this. None of us inherit our time here on earth from our parents. We borrow our time here from our children. Good luck to you all, and sock it over the next 3 days. We need you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You gave us a very tall order, and I think we are all now motivated and geared up to follow your great inspiration, dedication, and persistence, because you are truly also persistent in how you push for the right goals. Finally, it's my great privilege to invite Liz Thompson, Executive Director for Rio+20, to share her perspective with us. Liz, please come to the floor.
Members of the platform, excellencies, distinguished guests, chief executive officers, ladies and gentlemen, I must confess that the UN finds it very difficult to follow that presentation. I bring the greetings of Under-Secretary General Xia Zukang, who is Secretary General for the Rio+20 conference, and who was supposed to deliver remarks this evening, but developments at the negotiations require his attention, and therefore I am asked to deliver the comments on his behalf and in his name, and I will read you the comments which he would have delivered had he been here. I join the previous speakers in thanking the Global Compact Office for hosting and organizing this important and unique forum. Thank you also to the Business Action for Sustainable Development, the umbrella organization of the business and industry major group, and members of the UN system for your inputs. I would like also to thank all of you, the participants, for your participation. Your being here demonstrates that business and industry, together with the other major groups' stakeholders, is strongly committed to sustainable development. We cannot underestimate the importance of business and industry in our quest to seek a sustainable future. As Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has said, private business must step in and help governments come up with solutions for sustainable growth. The decisions business leaders make today can affect the planet and society for decades. Few other non-state actors are in such a position. Your choices can directly lead to better management of the planet's natural resources. You can adopt and implement cleaner production technologies and greener value chains. And you can also play a leading role in providing employment and livelihood opportunities. Pioneering corporations have already shown the way towards a greener economy. Such businesses are often led by visionary leaders and driven by socially conscious investors. Many of them are in this room today. Furthermore, that number is growing. We count on you to set an example for those companies that are lagging behind, to tell them that the sustainable development approach is a smart business choice. As you know, the world has been afflicted by recent economic and financial crises, as well as the cumulative impacts of environmental degradation. We need your leadership now more than ever. One of the outcomes of Rio+20 will be a compendium of new and measurable commitments from all sectors of society. These commitments will help make sustainable development a concrete reality. My hope is that several hundred new sustainability initiatives and commitments will emerge, and I expect many of them to come from business and industry. Many among you are engaged in the Rio+20 process as members of the United Nations Global Compact, the International Chamber of Commerce, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, or other international industry associations. This forum, by bringing you together, represents a landmark opportunity for promoting the culture of sustainability, accountability, and reporting within business and industry. In addition, here in Rio, the 19th of June will be Business Day, organized by Business Action for Sustainable Development. Setting aside this specific day will allow for greater interaction between business and government leaders and other civil society representatives. These events, along with many others, will be your opportunity to persuade the public and policymakers that business and industry are truly part of the solution to accelerate the pace towards sustainability. With only a week left, the conclusion of the Rio+20 conference, with only a week left to the conclusion of the Rio+20 conference, I remain optimistic that we will achieve a significant outcome. In that regard, I am very pleased that there is already a consensus for launching the process to arrive at sustainable development goals. The current draft outcome text calls on business and industry to show leadership. It asks for sustainable and inclusive business models and practices, corporate environmental and social responsibility, clean and safe products, and alignment with the principles of the UN Charter and the UN Global Compact. The draft text recognizes the need for a global system of national sustainability accounting and reporting. This would include strengthening existing mechanisms to incorporate sustainability criteria into the business sector's reporting practices. Your views and initiatives are also needed on how to advance sustainable development at the local and national levels. Rio+20 is a once-in-a-generation milestone event, but without an intensive phase of implementation, its impact will fall flat. This is where you come in. Business and industry must be a key actor in this implementation phase, and you must be central in creating the future we want. Ultimately, the real success of Rio+20 will be seen in the transformation it will set in motion. You can be the leaders and drivers of that transformation. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the words of Secretary General Shah Zukhan.
We greatly appreciate Liz Thompson on behalf of Secretary General of the conference, Mr. Shah's update on the negotiations. I think we're all very encouraged that the Sustainable Development Goals are part of the outcome. I think we're also very encouraged to hear that the call on business to demonstrate solutions and to scale them up was made loud and clear. I think the call for partnerships and collaborations was loud and clear. All our participants coming from 100 countries here, many of them joining us tomorrow, have prepared for this. The sessions are truly meant to scale up what works, and we are quite confident that we will inspire and encourage governments to take these great examples and to also do their part. Finally, I also want to share with you that, of course, the Corporate Sustainability Forum is also the first UN conference ever that is labeled Wind-Made. Wind-Made is the first global consumer label for organizations and corporations which produce wind energy for what they are doing. We hope that this will be an inspiration for many of you corporate participants to look into this label in particular. Finally, the conference is also paper smart. That means there is no paper, there are smart, quick applications on your mobile. We hope you will find them enjoyable and navigate through that maze of what's on the menu for the days to come. I'm truly excited on behalf also of my team to welcome you all together with the Global Compact Brazil Network, our key partner in organizing everything that is ahead of us. We truly hope you will have a great time. You will also enjoy yourself. But I have first for you a brief video message from some of our board members who will join us later this week, who also would anxiously share their perspectives with you. A brief video message from some board members who would like to want to share their experiences. Thank you.
Business comes to Rio as a solutions provider, taking all our collective knowledge from our different business attributes and putting them together to deal with the sustainability problems that our world faces today. As I think about the outcome from Rio and the Corporate Sustainability Forum, I believe everyone participating can come out with new ideas, new encouragement, and leave this forum energized for another decade of prosperous growth.
The most important role of business in Rio is to further the message of sustainability and agree on solid deliverable targets. The business have to communicate to the whole world that sustainability does not only make environmental sense, but it also makes business sense. The more people know about sustainability, the more opportunity they see in it.
The best contribution business can make is not simply to repeat that the status quo is the only way things can be done. Very often in the political arena, when we talk about energy revolutions, when we talk about efficiency gains, a recycling economy, a transition towards a green economy, the voice of business that is heard in parliaments and in lobbying circles often is operating at the lowest common denominator. The voice of business needs to be one of transformation, of innovation, of opportunity, and how society, through consumers, parliamentarians, governments, can help business succeed in a more sustainable economy of tomorrow. Business is not one homogeneous community. It is the voice of progressive business, of pioneering business, of innovative business, and of business that accepts that it has an ethical and also environmental responsibility for what happens on our planet that needs to be heard at Rio. It is that voice which will make a difference also to politicians and to multilateral processes.
Climate change is such an important issue that everyone has to take strong leadership in dealing with it. Much of the work on the ground of climate adaptation and mitigation, and therefore a large share of climate finance, involves business. So the onus for transparency and accountability will also be on the private sector. Because accepting responsibility for climate change, reporting carbon footprints, and committing to green policies is not enough. Businesses need to be a powerful voice in climate change policy.
The world is waiting for some concrete results from this Rio summit. And the business community has to make sure that its voice is heard, but it should not be one as business as usual. That it's about responsibility, it's about partnership, and indeed it's about restraint. It's about inclusion. To include young people in your decisions, to include women, and to say to the world that you're changing the way that you do business. My message then is to all the participants at Rio that you've been given another opportunity, that you can show a new face, that you can say that you're prepared to make new commitments, that you will engage with your workforce locally, that you will engage with your workforce globally, that there is a new bottom line, but it's not the traditional bottom line. It's about responsibility, it's about dialogue, it's about partnership, and it's about all stakeholders and not just shareholders.
Well, these were some additional perspectives, and I think we're all now highly motivated. We all now have challenges before us, and we all now have dreams and aspirations we want to deliver in the next 3 days. I have one final announcement to make. There's a very important vote going on currently. As a matter of fact, there's a public vote going on which of the themes should make it to the official Rio dialogue. And the good news is the Global Compact is actually in the final stage of making it, but we are not yet quite there. So I would like to ask all of you to please take note of this website and just to spend 1 minute on it and to vote for the Global Compact. We stand close to make it to become #1. And with your help here, I think we can make it. It would be wonderful because it would bring our goal of scaling up sustainability significantly forward. So please do take a minute and go to this website, vote now. That is my wish for the evening. This brings to a closure the opening ceremony. I very much hope on behalf of my great team that you will have a wonderful time here, that you will enjoy this wonderful country as well, this wonderful spirit that prevails here, with all the great inspiration and the aspirations given to us. You now please are invited for a reception on the same floor, and we thank Petrobras for hosting this reception. Thank you very much for coming, and tomorrow we're getting down to business. We have much to do. We have to scale up. We have to reach transformation in critical areas. So please, tomorrow, be on time, do engage, get serious and down to business tomorrow. Thank you very much.